Hey, welcome back to Midas Letter Live. My guest in this segment is Francis Dubé. He is a formerly concerned shareholder, and his concern has been diminished because a slate of directors successfully fought and won a proxy war, and that means it's a whole new day for Zenyatta Ventures. Absolutely. As of 10 o'clock this morning, we are now the board of directors. We've got control of the board of directors. We've kept two. We wanted continuity, but added three entrepreneurial spirit, business spirit people to help really move this project along. Okay, so who's going to be the CEO? We've got to look for him. Oh, okay. At this point right now, we know what we want in the CEO. This is a graphene play, nano materials play. So we want somebody who's got that background experience, but also financial markets. So we know what we want. We haven't identified them yet. Sure. So for now, we're going to work probably as a committee. We've got a few things that we haven't had our first board meeting yet. Right. That's coming up actually as soon as I leave here. Oh, okay. Well, that'll be exciting. So talk to me in terms of the history of Zenyatta. What was it that initiated the concern of the shareholders to the point where you mounted a proxy bid? And what is it you expect to accomplish now that you've gained control of the company? Well, the biggest thing is the PEA was out in three years ago. Since the PEA came out, we've had really no movement on preliminary economic assessment, just for those who don't know. Yeah. That preliminary economic assessment had a bunch of recommendations to move the project forward. Mm-hmm. None of those recommendations were, done as far as we know. Okay. The company right now have not a lot of funds in the kitty. They've really left us in a difficult position. So we felt we had to act to be able to, save our investment in there. Okay. So now I'm assuming that the plan is to appoint a new management team, raise some money, and get back to work. 100%. Great. What is the expected timeline of the evolution of this project towards a finished product in what timeline? Forward-looking statements, hard to really say here, but we don't have an environmental assessment started, so we want to get that environmental assessment going as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. We want to work on a PFS. There's a lot of work that's been done for the PFS, but we've got to hire the right people to put this together. So it sounds like there's a lot of permitting that needs to be considered yet. Absolutely. Okay, great. And what about in terms of infrastructure? If you were to start mining this deposit, what is there, what isn't there? We're 70 kilometers from Hurst. We're 30 kilometers from the Trans-Canada Highway. We're 10 kilometers from an all-weather or all-season road. Okay. There's gas, there's hydro, there's a train track close by. So infrastructure is fantastic here. It's not the Ring of Fire. We're really close to the Trans-Canada Highway. So we're actually really good in that department. Sure. What is the market like globally for graphene or whatever would come out of the ground from Zenyatta? We take graphite out of the ground, we process it into graphene. What we found basically though is that the graphite is really unusual, and we couldn't figure out why we were getting such a huge amount of yield on the graphene side. We've had multiple universities come up and say this stuff is just fantastic. We've never had anything yield so much graphene. Hmm. Tokyo Tech out of Japan last year finally identified why we had that. The flakes in the graphene for us have the biggest distance between the flakes. So if you're trying to separate the graphene into layers, how much space there is in between those layers is really critical. Hmm. And they also found that the flakes were a little off center, if you will, so they really tended to come off easily. And the highest value graphene is the 1 to 3 layer stuff, and that's primarily what our graphite produces. So it's producing the very high-end, high-value graphene that we want in the marketplace. Sure. How much money has gone into the project so far to date? I'd say probably close to $15–16 million since 2010 when the property was purchased. Sure. There was a lot of warrants that got cashed in, so the company got a lot of money from that. And, okay. Yeah. So with the PEA in hand, you're in a position now to finance the rest of the exploration to bring it up to a bankable feasibility study? Correct. And then you would, I guess, look for some partners to help you develop the project into production. Well, again, the value on the graphene side is so high. One of the things we're going to look at is bulk sampling. Hmm. The product is so valuable that we can actually use that to potentially fund some of our operations. Wouldn't be the first time bulk sampling actually masqueraded as small-scale mining. To some degree, absolutely. Right. So then if you've already talking to entities in Japan, does this imply that there's some interest from some battery manufacturers?
We haven't had those discussions yet. We've just won the proxy battle this morning. We did have a great meeting with Constantine Lake First Nation and Chief Allen last night and again today. So they're fully on board and they're excited to move the project forward with us. So we're very happy to have those early connections with Constantine Lake First Nations. They, they're very excited for this project. So we'll have a great partner in them to move this project forward.
Well, that's great, Francis. Congratulations on your victory. We'll now be following again with interest what's going to happen with Zenyatta. Thanks for joining me today.
Sounds great. Thank you for having me on the show today. Appreciate it.